And let me go straight to Hushang Amir Ahmadi, who's joining us live now. He's the president of American-Iranian Council. Mr. Ahmadi, the question is, where does Iran and America go from here on? What happens now?
Well, I mean, obviously, President Trump has made a big mistake by setting, his goal in this war, regime change. And I don't believe that will happen as easily as Mr. Trump has predicted or thought will happen. So, unfortunately, if Mr. Trump changes he doesn't change his the goal of regime change, this war could be ended very soon. But if the regime change is the purpose, then it could drag. I think the people are making too much noise about Mr. Khamenei's death. Mr. Khamenei's death isn't as important as the media internationally or the US is making it to be. Mr. Khamenei was actually an obstacle to the Iranian defense system, to Iranian military, to Iranian political system. I think his removal is a plus as opposed to a negative something. I am absolutely shocked that everybody is thinking the bit Mr. Khamenei did is the end of Iran or end of this regime. That's not the case. In fact, Mr. Khamenei's death, in fact, came at a very, very interesting time, and a time that he himself has cornered himself so badly that couldn't do anything. And I think his removal will help the regime move forward. And perhaps it will also help U.S. move forward with Iran if the U.S. was to be more realistic about its goal. The regime change in Iran is a long, drawn process. This regime has millions of supporters. This is a religious regime. It has a revolutionary guard intact, a military intact. There are 400,000 mullahs, clergies. There is this, 5 million bureaucracy. Iran has 75 almost million people above 16 years of age. That's a huge country, of course, not compared to India or China, but in the region, in the regional scale, is a big country. So I think the Khamenei's removal has been seen as an opportunity and as a threat, both as an opportunity and a threat to Iranian future and to the US-Iran relations.
Mr. Amir Ahmadi, you would be perhaps the only expert who has said so, that there is an opportunity in the death or the killing of the supreme leader. Why are you calling that? Because besides the killing of the supreme leader, several top officials of the IRGC, the military intelligentsia, all of them have been eliminated as well in these targeted killings.
Again, Mr. Khamenei is responsible for those killings. That's the point. Now the military is free. This Mr. Khamenei actually caused these killings, starting with a long time with the JCPOA, the killing of Qasem Soleimani and the hundreds of other, the Iranian military generals until he himself died. Khamenei had become an obstacle. He had become a force for these killings. He had just become a force for no. He was not a strategist, a military strategist. He was just a mullah that came from nowhere and became that big. I believe the military in Iran now has a feeling of relief. I think they are now relieved. I am not even sure that Mr. Khamenei did not plan his own killing. He could have been 100 meters under the ground. He was in his complex open. I mean, can't you think about, I cannot even imagine a person not willing to die and stay in this particular situation, in that particular place. Mr. Khamenei, I think, put himself in a position to die. He wanted to become a martyr. He wanted to become a person that will be remembered by the Iranian history as someone who resisted the US and Israel and got martyred by them.
Okay, so this would be perhaps the most unique insight that I'm hearing today. Mr. Amir Ahmadi, I want to understand from you then, if the regime change, if that is the end goal, that's not going to happen according to you, because you understand Iran much better than most, then what do you think will happen in the next 24 to 48 hours, given the escalation also coming in from Iran, where they have targeted multiple cities in the entire Middle East?
So the US has the power to destroy, but the US has no power to build. I mean, the US has failed in this kind of adventures in Iraq, in Libya, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, and in so many other places. The American kill, the American can destroy, they have the power. But unfortunately, as we will see soon, they will get into a mess in Iran and they will have to run away. There is no way that America from here to 13,000 kilometers can manage Iran. And then the regional states also have learned that there is a red line for Iran, that you cannot have American in your home and have America to use your land to hit Iran and then you be safe. I think the people are talking about Iran being irrational or suicidal for attacking like Qatar, Bahrain, Emirates, and others. The fact is, these countries are army-based, the military bases of the United States. They have put themselves in that particular situation. Iran has been extremely cautious and actually have been very kind indeed to these countries for a long, long time. Iran could have hit them 20 years ago, but Mr. Khamenei just was not a good leader, and he killed everybody in his side.
Okay, Geeta, you want to weigh in on this?
He destroyed himself.
We have someone who has taken a line we haven't really heard so far. Someone who says that this was a martyrdom he wanted. That's what Khamenei wanted, perhaps, and that's what he has got. He was seen as an obstacle. Go ahead, Geeta.
I don't know whether if he wanted the martyrdom, but I agree with Amir, with our guest that he certainly has become a martyr. He was 87 years of age, ailing, frail, half paralyzed, and at such a point, what Israel gave the Ayatollah is martyrdom on a platter. And has united Shia Sunni factions in the Arab world as well, not just the Persian Gulf. So what they have done is, whether if they win the war or lose, unimaginable that the Supreme Leader would have got this in his lifetime, since he was 87 years old, was losing popularity within. There were serious concerns. The protests in Iran clearly showed that. And right now, he's become a martyr. And that Israel cannot undo.
Okay. So before I let you go, here is Donald Trump, Mr. Ahmadi, who's saying that the leadership in Iran now wishes to speak to US and he is ready to engage.
Yes, I believe the new leaders, actually, that's why I'm saying the removal of Mr. Khamenei is an opportunity, that Mr. Khamenei would, in fact, open the road, the way to a new Iran-US dialogue, to a new Iran, perhaps. Khamenei was an obstacle. He was an obstacle. That the removal of that obstacle should be seen as an opportunity, but it all has to do with the other side. It could be also a threat, because after all, Khamenei is a religious leader, has a lot of followers, people who could be suicidal, that we have to deal with this situation very, very carefully. America must understand that Mr. Khamenei is not Maduro. It is Khamenei, and the Iranian people are not.
Amir Ahmadi, really appreciate your time. Thank you for those insights. We have first set of visuals now coming in of Prime Minister Modi holding that crucial CCS meeting, which is the Cabinet Committee on Security Affairs. That meeting is being held because the situation is fast evolving and the situation remains very tough and tense. This is the first set of pictures which are coming in from the Prime Minister's office of Prime Minister Modi chairing that crucial CCS. In attendance, of course, the National Security Advisor, other officials, the Chief of Army Naval Staff, the Chief of Army, all of them are in attendance. And besides that, the Home Minister, External Affairs Minister, Raksha Mantri, that is Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. The first set of visuals coming in of Prime Minister Modi chairing that crucial CCS. US President Donald Trump has now taken to Truth Social, in which he has said, "I have just been informed that we have destroyed and sunk 9 Iranian naval ships, some of them relatively large and important. We are going after the rest. They will soon be floating at the bottom of the sea." Also, in a different attack, we largely destroyed their naval headquarters. Others than that, their navy is doing very well. So now Donald Trump saying that the naval ships of Iran have now been destroyed. Let me bring in Lev Aran, former coordinator of Israel-India Parliamentary Friendship. He's joining us. He's also a columnist. Lev Aran, how are you looking at these developments, the claim that has been made by Donald Trump just a few minutes ago?
Donald Trump is not a very predictable person, so whatever he says, he can say vice versa in 1 hour or 2 hours. I think it is more important what Americans are doing. It seems like Israel is more controlling the airspace of Tehran in Iran itself, while the Americans, they're chasing the naval forces of Iran and trying to protect Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, etc.
Okay, and with the reports coming in of the IRGC also now hitting military locations across the Middle East, Iraq, Kuwait, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, plus Israeli sites also in Tel Aviv and ships. These are 27 sites which have been hit. That's what Iran is claiming. And of course, they are going ahead and saying that missiles have struck Qatar, UAE, and even aimed at Europe, to be specific, Cyprus there, causing explosions and security alerts. Can you give us more updates?
Look, I believe very little to what the Iranians say. They need to prove that something is going, perfectly well, while we see in reality that Iran is losing the war, and even some people, Iranian people, are celebrating the verdict of this war. We can see that Iran lost they lost the plot when they are attacking Oman. Oman is like the Dobiwala of Iran, like all the black money, all the oil money. Who makes them like a normal money? It is Oman, and they are still attacking Oman itself. So in a way, I don't see any strategy in what Iranians are doing. The only thing that they want to see is to keep the Desi audience in some kind of a trust that everything is according to the plan. And that's why they're like claiming things that in reality, we don't see these achievements at all right now.
All right, Lev, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. A piece of breaking news coming in now. Iran has refused to hold talks with US. This is coming minutes after US President Donald Trump said that he is ready to talk with Iran because Iran has approached them. The new leadership in Iran has, as Donald Trump had claimed, wants to talk. Now, the foreign minister, Mr. Arakchi, has said, we negotiated with the United States twice in the past 12 months, and in both cases, they attacked us in the middle of negotiations, and that has become a very bitter experience for us. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has said no country's leader has the right to tell Iran not to respond to attacks. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi going on to say what we are doing is the act of self-defense. So Abbas Araghchi here, Geeta, saying that there is no question of talks.
Well, that's right. He had said that in our interview also, that he does not trust the Americans because the first time around talks were happening, Iran was attacked. And then when he was headed to Geneva, he said, I do not know whether if they'll allow the negotiations to take place or will attack in the midst of it because they had a bitter experience. And that's exactly what he's saying right now. He has a very important quote as well when he spoke to one of the networks. And in that, he's actually come out and said that those who had the mission to destroy diplomacy succeeded. In the end, Donald Trump bombed the negotiating table. What a significant and what a telling statement that what America really did the first time around and this time around is bombed the negotiating table. And none other than the Omani foreign minister who was mediating for both the sides put it with absolute clarity, Maria, when he said that Iran had agreed to almost all of America's terms and conditions. Why in the world then did Israel, along with America, go in and attack Iran? What was the pretext? What was the premise? And why? What was the motivation for them to do it right now? And that's the reason why I suppose the Iranian foreign minister is rejecting any sort of talks with the United States of America because they cannot trust the US. They say they're ready to defend themselves, but if you ask me, I think they should give talks another chance. Peace is important. The cost in West Asia right now is very heavy and no country can bear it. In all probability, what Iran is doing is hedging. They know that they have cornered West Asia in a way that's unimaginable. The earlier reports are very clear, where some of the reports say that Americans stranded in West Asia are stuck and America can do nothing about rescuing, evacuating, or extracting them from the region. That's how tightly bound the entire area is, and with airports shut, airspace shut, everybody's stranded, expatriates in that entire region. And that should be a real scare for all countries, especially the host countries, which is all of the Middle East. And in such a scenario, I suppose Iran is hedging. But the more sensible thing would be to see what happens through tonight and tomorrow, if the two sides are actually going to go back to talking rather than bombing.
Okay, let's see whether talk is at all an option given the nature of escalation that we have seen. So all eyes are now set on Iran, that is tasked with filling a pivotal power vacuum urgently. Khamenei is gone. Who next is the question on everyone's mind. His son, the eldest son, Mujtaba Khamenei, is now being said to be the potential new supreme leader. Mujtaba has long been seen as the shadow power behind his father, influencing key appointments in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, overseeing intelligence operations, and he was the one who was also managing the inner circle of the regime. A relatively low-profile cleric, he wields power behind the scenes and has strong ties to the IRGC. Analysts have speculated about his chances, especially after the death of former President Ibrahim Raisi, who had been a leading contender for this top post. Iran has officially triggered Article 111 of its constitution. And this law, in fact, mandates that if the country suddenly lacks a supreme leader, a temporary three-person council must be formed to assume all absolute leadership duties until a permanent successor is chosen. Senior cleric Ayatollah Ali Reza Arafi will, in fact, serve as Iran's interim supreme leader. So what's next for Iran? Here's that report.
West Asia is on fire. Iran has begun 40 days of national mourning after their supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed in coordinated US-Israeli strikes. Iranian state media confirmed that several top security officials were also killed in the attacks, along with members of Khamenei's family, including his daughter, son-in-law and grandson. Israel claims the operation eliminated 40 Iranian commanders and wiped out what it calls Iran's terror regime leadership, including Iran's chief of army staff. Following Khamenei's death, his responsibilities have been temporarily handed over to Ayatollah Arafi. At the same time, Iran's official news agency IRNA reports that a three-member leadership council comprising of the president, the judiciary chief and a jurist from the Guardian Council will assume supreme authority until a new leader is chosen. President Masoud Pezeshkian has condemned the killing as a great crime, declaring 7 days of public holiday in addition to the 40-day mourning period. He says revenge is Iran's legal right and duty. Crowds have poured into Tehran as the country braces for further escalation. A seismic leadership change and a major military strike have put the entire region on edge. And the world is watching as the fallout from Khamenei's killing is far from over. Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining us now is Rukhsana Cheghini, who is the Iranian cultural analyst and advocate for democratic transition. Geeta?
Well, thank you so much for joining us. The fact that there has been a massive killing of the upper top officials in Iran, what is expected when it comes to what America and Israel is expecting? They want regime change. But regime change in Iran does not happen the way they thought killing of these officials would lead to. The fact that they have the first rung, second rung, third rung, and fourth rung of leadership prepared to take over. So what's the end game over here? How are you reading the situation?
The way we are looking at it, it's not that America or Israel, they want the regime change. They have been telling that over and over. They are here to help. Iranian people are under the dictatorship for 47 years. Iranian regime, radical Islamic Republic, has been supporting all the terrorist groups all over the world for 47 years, and that's clear to the world. Iranian people could not alone fight back. They want to live in a democracy country. They want to live without having fears. They want to be able to grow, to live their own life. And that's not possible. That's why people ask United States and Israel to come and help and take the regime, the whole of them, away. That's not a war against Iran. That's not a war to change the regime. Iranian people are going to vote in a free referendum and choose their future regime. That's how we see it. But now you're speaking about Mojtaba Khomeini, the head of or behind behind of this organization for so many years. If he's going to be a leader, and if, as Trump said, they want to talk to them and negotiate again and continue to negotiate, and if they say nothing will change, the world will not see a secure world anymore. We see how the extremists are growing all over Europe, in Australia, in America, and they're going to continue. We see that what Iranian has been doing, Iranian regime in the last 2 days, they have been attacking more Arab countries that Israel has done in entire its existence. They have been attacking all their allies, Saudi Arabia, Cyprus, UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Jordan. They have been attacking shops, shopping malls, and hotels. And that's crazy. How long the world wants to keep up with that? It's not only about Iranian people. It's not only about that they killed 40,000 people just more than 30 days ago. It's
Roxana,
about the whole world.
playing devil's advocate over here, would the Iranian people be comfortable with a very strong Israel and Netanyahu? It's a very straight question, because that would mean that Netanyahu in future will be taking over Palestine completely. Look what they're doing in the West Bank. I know for a fact that the Arab world would not be comfortable with it. The reason why there's no retaliation so far when it comes to the Arab world against Iran. How do you read that?
I see that what is happening between Israel and Palestine has nothing to do with what's happening in Iran at the moment. I think that we should look at it in two different ways. There is a problem between Israel and Palestine, which is known for the war. But the problem with Iran, it is two separate things. How you think that if Bibi is going to help Iran to take over the extremists, it's going to help them take over the war? I don't think so. We don't think so. We don't believe that. We follow Prince Reza Pahlavi, who has been leading this movement. We follow Iranian people who are chanting in Iranian streets in Iran, and they're calling for help. They're screaming, "Please help us!" They're killing non-stop for 40 years. They're killing people. Somebody had to help, and I think Bibi and
But
Trump.
Roxana, today there are thousands of people on the streets of Tehran and other cities who are also mourning the death of their supreme leader, who are also calling for revenge. So that is the other side as well.
Okay, what do you suggest that we should do? Just keep up with that just because thousands of people, they have benefits from this government, or they have beliefs and they are one of the heads of this government and they support the terrorists in the war, and the rest of the Iranian people should be silent and should be just accepted? What do you think that Iranian people should do?
We not for once would support any regime that is oppressive in nature, and we've seen how people in Iran have suffered, Roxana. I'm talking about the larger picture over here, is that the help is not purely American, that it comes from Israel.
Yes.
Are you okay with Israel strengthening its position in the region, Netanyahu particularly so?
I am okay with that, and millions of people are okay with that, because we are looking long-term and not short-term. It is a disaster that they're attacking UAE. I lived in UAE, in Dubai, and I love this city. I lived there for 16 years, and I know. But we are okay because a long-term, it will be peaceful situation and a political relationship between a country that is free and another. Yeah, we are okay with that.
Okay, let's see how the public sentiments actually take shape in Iran. Roxana, I appreciate your time. A piece of breaking news that is coming in now. And Iran has now denied reports of former Iran president, his killing. In fact, there were reports that Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has been killed. Now, Iran saying that Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is healthy and safe. He served as the 6th president of Iran from 2005 to 2013. During this time, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad became the public face of Iran's nuclear program and Tehran's defiance of the West. So, reports coming in that the former president, Geeta, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, is healthy and safe.
Well, that's right, Maria. There were initial reports that had come in that Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who is the former president of Iran, was killed. And I spoke with certain people from Iran, and they did say that, yes, there's a confirmation. And then they reverted, saying that, no, Tehran is actually saying that it has not happened. And they said that, we are also trying to verify these reports now. So it does seem like Ahmadinejad has not been killed. He's still alive, because these reports also came a day later, and that's why we waited to see. Some of the channels had broken it. We had waited to see, but got confirmation from Iran, and then the denial coming in from Iran itself. For now, Iran says that the former president is alive and healthy and has not been killed.
All right, but Geeta, the question certainly is the significance of this man. And is there a possibility that he could be catapulted to a different role, a more role of prominence in these tumultuous times?
Well, if Iran comes out of this with the regime not being toppled, then yes, Many suspect that the IRGC and the regime is going to become more hardline, and Ahmadinejad is a hardliner. Unlike Masoud Pezeshkian, which was the moment for America actually to take because he is a reformist, he's a reformer, he's not a hardliner. And I suppose the regime looked at Masoud Pezeshkian as somebody who is a reformer and could change the way Iran is viewed and the image that is put out of Iran. And since he came to power, the reforms had begun. You see that there is more relaxation when it comes to the veils and hijabs in Iran, except for the religious cities. Anywhere else you'd see women wearing or not wearing. But Ahmadinejad is known to be a real hardliner. So we'll have to wait and see how that really plays out. Should this regime survive, this former president will have an important role to play as well.
Okay. Dr. Kinbraj Jahangir is the director and professor, Center for Israel Studies, OP Jindal Global University. He joins us. Dr. Jahangir, we have been speaking about the developments and what should we be watching out for. What will you be saying right now on the day that the news has come in of the supreme leader of Iran having been eliminated? Not just him, there has been the transition, the power, and the new power has taken over. But what will you be watching out for now in the next 24 hours?
Thank you. Well, next 24 hours is a too short span of a time. I do wonder what will happen inside Iran in the next week. One, how much Israel and America will continue their strikes. It's very interesting that they have targeted the initial leadership, but they have also left many alive. And according to some of the journalists in Dubai, those who are left alive in Iran today, they are the ones who are going to fill in the gaps.
Okay.
Meaning there can be a new crop of leadership, and as you were talking with your colleague Geeta, Ahmadinejad could be one of them, and he's indeed hardliner. I remember I was a student at Jawaharlal University in the year 2005 when he was the president, and he had this very famous statement that Israel should be wiped off the map. In a way, in the last 15 years, he was one of the most radical leaders in Iran who upped the anti-Israelism and anti-Americanism and put Iran in a very, very, let's say, direct confrontation with the West in general. So what has happened to Iranian foreign policy today is much of the doing of Ahmadinejad. And it's no surprise that Israel and America took a chance to reach out to this retired politician. I mean, we don't know if he would survive, but I do wonder what kind of a radical or what kind of a moderate leadership will emerge in Iran in the coming days. We will really have to just wait for that.
And then are you of the opinion that this leadership will come from within? That somebody sitting in US like Reza Pahlavi will not be sent to Iran to govern people of Iran?
It will never work.
It will not work.
It will never work because Shah's reputation wasn't really a popular leader. I mean,
Yes.
His father was a monarch and his father was a, like other monarchs, a corrupt monarch. The protests that happened in Iran in 1978, 1977 were against the monarchy's nepotism, collapse of the law and order, and collapse of the economic well-being of the people. Iranians in the late 70s didn't protest for a religious theocracy. They protested for very common everyday issues like Arab Spring. However, like it happens to many revolutions, it was hijacked by the clerics and they turned into that political vacuum was then converted into a Shia mission. So I don't think Pahlavi's dynasty has any public mass, roots. It's true that millions of Iranians who have lived in exile, and we have seen in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a lot of people in exile, even in Australia, have been protesting against the regime. These are the people who have been, at the direct receiving end of this regime. They were, either jailed, they ran away from Iran for their lives. So they do think this prince in exile can be their,
Okay.
representative. But I don't think Americans, Donald Trump in the last all these months have not entertained even a single meeting with him. He also
That's an
realizes
important
that,
point. Yes.
yes, he didn't, and the guy lives in America.
Yes, that's right.
But but I
That's a
think
good
Trump,
that's a good point that you have made. So, Dr. Jahangir, really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. There's a piece of breaking news coming in now. And amidst escalating tensions, Prime Minister Modi has now spoken to UAE President. Prime Minister Modi, in fact, took to Twitter to say that he has spoken to the President of UAE, my brother, Sheikh Mohamed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. And he has said that he has strongly condemned the attacks on the UAE and condoled the loss of lives in these attacks. India stands in solidarity with the UAE in these difficult times. And he has also thanked him for taking care of the Indian community that is living in UAE. We support de-escalation, regional peace, security and stability. So this is an important call, that Geeta, which has happened between Prime Minister Modi and the President of UAE, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Because India certainly is looking at the safety and security of its own nationals. Remember, close to 95 lakh people, 95 lakh Indians are there in the entire GCC or the Middle East. Prime Minister Modi here speaking to the President of UAE, communicating that he condoled the loss of lives and at the same time communicated that he stands in solidarity with the UAE in these difficult times. Geeta.
Yes, Maria, this comes at a time when there are reports that had come in after the attacks, drone attacks, which were intercepted. The Ministry of Defense of UAE put out a post saying that missiles and cruise missiles were intercepted, but some of them breached, which led to 3 fatalities of 3 foreign nationals and injuries of many. The fatalities were of a Pakistani, a Nepali and a Bangladeshi, but the 58 minor injuries that were sustained by other nationalities included an Indian as well. Ministry of External Affairs then posted that they're looking into the matter and they're providing all sorts of assistance that is required for the Indian national. And therefore, now this very important leadership level conversation between Al Nahyan and Prime Minister Modi, just to ensure that safety and security of Indian nationals is kept in mind. This is amid escalating tensions, and not just escalating tensions, Maria, there's no way out.
Yes.
They're all stuck there, whether they're passengers who are in transit or those you just mentioned living as expatriates in the UAE. So a lot of people there, a lot of friends of ours quite tensed, family quite tensed as to whether if they should be, they should continue to stay there. But like I said before, even Americans are not being able to pull out their nationals from this part of the world. And it seems like for now, it's a wait and watch, and therefore the conversation to ensure safety and security of Indian nationals.
Yes, and Iran certainly has launched this massive, fierce counteroffensive and expanded the conflict across West Asia. From Dubai to Doha, from Bahrain to Jordan, the Gulf region is engulfed in strikes and counter-strikes. Look at this new report.
The face of the regime is gone. But Iran's retaliatory attacks have engulfed the Gulf. Tehran has continued its strikes on American and Israeli assets in the region for a second straight day, vowing to make them pay the price for Khamenei's killing. Iranian missiles were intercepted over Tel Aviv, triggering sirens across the city. Israel's air defense system engaged multiple incoming projectiles, protecting civilians and infrastructure amid the barrage of attacks from Iran. Another wave of explosions reverberated through Dubai, and several loud blasts were heard in Qatari capital Doha. raising fears of a wider conflict in regions long seen as a haven of peace in an otherwise turbulent West Asia. Iran's retaliatory strikes even reached Dubai's landmarks of Palm Jumeirah and Burj Al Arab. US air defense systems intercepted multiple Iranian missiles over Al Udeid air base in Qatar. 2 missiles targeted the base, home to the largest US military installation in West Asia. Explosions were also reported in Bahrain's capital, with drone strikes on high-rise buildings. A drone strike from Iran also targeted the Bahrain International Airport. Elsewhere in the region, the Jordanian defense systems intercepted missiles that entered the capital, Amman's airspace. Sirens were also heard in Kuwait. Even Oman, which was mediating the nuclear talks between the US and Iran, is caught in crossfire. A US-sanctioned oil tanker was struck off Oman's coast while passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Trump has vowed to hit Iran with a force that has never been seen before, if it continues to fight back. But with Tehran showing no signs of backing down, Iran's neighboring Arab states that collectively host thousands of US troops have inevitably been left at the receiving end of this widening war. Bureau Report, India Today.